Another week in the books. Welcome back to another episode of the Walk on Red Shirts podcast. If you're not doing so already, make sure to rate the podcast, follow it on all of your platforms, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you're consuming this content. We appreciate you guys being here. 7 weeks in the book, William. 7 weeks in the book. I think we know a lot about teams. I also think I don't know a lot about teams. I don't really know where we stand.
This might be the craziest year ever in college football. I mean, you think about 2007. I think this is crazier than 2007. This might be crazier than 2007. In the preseason top 10, we have Clemson, Penn State, and Texas, who are all at 500.
Texas is above 500.
Oh, you're right. Texas is above 500.
Texas 4-2. Should have been. We thought they were going to be 3-3, but instead they are, 4-2. James Franklin 9 months ago was very close to playing for a national championship. Now unemployed. James Franklin is now unemployed and looking for a new job.
That's insane to me. And honestly, I feel like this is coming completely from this is all caused by the media and everybody driving this big game Franklin narrative. Because at the end of the day, what was Penn State between Joe Paterno and James Franklin? I mean, they were terrible.
Well, and they had the whole scandal with that kind of knocked the program down pretty significantly. But I will say James Franklin was his own worst enemy for that reason, because he was trying to reset a standard that we are a championship caliber program. And he was getting pretty darn close. The problem that he had is he pushed all of his chips in this year. You go out and get Jim Knowles, you get Drew Aller, you get Nick Singleton, you get Katron Allen, you get all of these guys to come back. And then you're committing money, resources, all of these assets, and you fell flat on your face. You lose on the road as a 22.5 point favorite to UCLA. You lose at home to Northwestern as a 3-touchdown favorite.
Yeah.
Northwestern of all teams. Northwestern is terrible.
So is UCLA. They're both
UCLA
really bad.
Might be decent-ish now that they've fired Deshaun Foster. He doesn't know where LA is, but they beat Michigan State by 3 touchdowns.
Right. You're right. They did put a smackdown on them. But I don't know. To go into them pushing their eggs onto one basket, I don't think Jim Knowles is getting enough heat. I don't think he is.
I agree.
You're coming in as the most highly touted coordinator on the planet.
Everybody in the media said he was the best defensive coordinator in college football. And getting $3 million to coach Penn State's defense.
And people kind of laughed at Ohio State getting Matt Patricia out of the deal. Ohio State is one of the best defenses in the country, and they're better than they were last year, in my opinion. I think they're phenomenal this year. I mean, Ohio State finally lit up a rushing touchdown for the first time in 45 years this weekend when they were playing Illinois. It's unbelievable. They finally gave up a goal line touchdown too. That hadn't happened in a long time. So I don't think Jim Knowles, this mastermind of the defense who was supposed to take Penn State to the next level, was a great hire. It looks terrible. And, a lot of people were like, well, good riddance to Tom Allen. He wasn't that good. And I know I'm biased with him coming to Clemson, and he's been okay at Clemson, but the defense has dropped off. And the defense is essentially the same group you had last year, minus the old boy that went to the Giants, Abdul Carter. So who else is different?
Yeah, I think one of the main things is Jim Knowles felt like he lost the locker room. It was hard to watch Penn State. I watched the UCLA game partially. I watched a decent part of the Northwestern game as it was coming down and looked like it could be an upset.
There was a decent part?
I watched it. Yeah, no, there was not really. Maybe by Northwestern.
Yeah.
But I watched a decent portion of the game, and it just kind of felt like guys quit and just, I don't want to say didn't care, but when you lose your locker room, I mean, it's done. It's game over. Game, set, match. There's no coming back. What are you going to bring back the coach for who loses the locker room? Are you going to just clean house and start over? I mean, and you can with the transfer portal. What changes are you going to make? James Franklin, one of his biggest issues was his loyalty to his guys. You love it, but also there's times where, look, you've got to make the hard decisions. Like the wide receiving core has
Awful.
has not held up to what they wanted.
And they had dudes in it this year. Yeah.
Devontae Ross, those guys came in and didn't really make an impact. Like, is it Andy Kotelnicki? Is it Drew Aller? Is it the wide receivers? Is it the wide receiver coach? Like, look, changes were going to have to be made. The problem is those changes that need to be made should have been made last offseason because you clearly have the talent. You have the talent. And now Drew Aller's out for the year.
And that sucks for him because honestly, if someone didn't
icy on
quit,
top, yeah.
If someone didn't quit, it was him.
No, he was giving his all.
And literally, like, to the very end, gave his body up. What was the diagnosis of his injury?
I haven't seen anything. The only thing I've seen is a leg injury. The speculation that with how fast James Franklin announced it was that there was speculation that it was a fracture or a break because they weren't going to be able to get an MRI done. I watched Landon Tangwall's show afterwards. Shout out Landon Tangwall show. He said something about because they don't quite have MRI machines in Beaver Stadium that they would have to go. They'd have to go over to the training complex basically to do an MRI, like their facility.
That's just another thing they don't have in Happy Valley.
No. He like you do the MRI over at the practice complex. So the fact is that they came out so quick, it felt like it was basically either you got to think it's like either an Achilles or a break, something that you can diagnose. You can look at and be like, that's what it is. So James Franklin's out. I can't wait for him to be announced to the head coach of Virginia Tech because I think he's going to clean up at Virginia Tech.
Absolutely.
This is all speculation, but I think this is a clear-cut, logical fit. Guy who recruits the area. Virginia Tech would take 10 wins every single year to reset the Frank Beamer standard. Where does Penn State turn? I think there's a couple obvious choices. Matt Rule's name is going to be floated for the next 6 weeks. The former Penn State linebacker was a walk-on there, went to the high school at State College. Not only that, he coached at Temple under Pat Kraft, who's the athletic director. There's a very obvious connection there. I think the list starts with Matt Rule and ends with Matt Rule. If Matt Rule says no, then I think you go down. Manny Diaz is a very obvious one, coach, defensive coordinator there. Curt Cignetti's name's going to pop up. I just don't see how Curt Cignetti takes the job. Penn State, do you just throw away 2026 because you have to wait for Curt Cignetti to get ready? Early signing day is now December 3rd. It's the week between the rivalry week and conference championship. So it's moved up 3 weeks. So early signing day is over on December 5th. So if you wait until after the Big Ten championship game, which likely Curt Cignetti will be playing in at this pace right now, you have to rely on the transfer portal, which then opens after the first of the year. Curt Cignetti's team could still be playing after the first of the year. They could be making the semifinal right now. Well, how long are you willing to wait before you pick your guy?
And shout out Landon Tingwall show. I don't think they wait that long. I don't think they can wait that long. It's too vital this time in this era of college football to make sure you have your group of guys come December 3rd on early signing day. Early signing day has become signing day because now you rely on the second period to get your transfer guys. So I don't think it's going to be a team that does that. That's why you will continuously hear this Matt Rule rhetoric around all this. You don't have it listed, but I want to hear your thoughts on this. What are your thoughts on Clark Lee out of Vanderbilt? Does Penn State go back-to-back Vanderbilt coaches?
That's my whole reason why I think they don't. I think the perception of it, of taking a Vandy coach twice in a row, I think that's enough to not do it. A name that popped up recently. So first, I think Bob Chesney out of James Madison could be a very intriguing fit. Guy who's won at every level, Division III, Division II, FCS, FBS. They're 5-1 right now. I think it depends how he finishes the season. They got a big game against Old Dominion this weekend. Also, former Penn State assistant Ricky Ronnie. But I think this is a very big one for them. Joe Brady has been brought up because the speculation is Terry Pagula paid the buyout, the billionaire, the Bills owner. Coincidentally, Bills owner. Joe Brady is the Bills offensive coordinator. Is there going to be a connection that Terry Pagula paid the buyout to get his guy to be the head coach? Joe Brady didn't like recruiting. There's a reason why he only spent like a year, maybe two at LSU. He was an assistant at Penn State as a graduate assistant back in like 2016. But there's a reason why after that LSU, super team, he got straight to the NFL. He don't like recruiting. He's not a big recruiting guy. If you can't recruit in college football, you're dead.
Yeah.
So
another person I think to kind of keep an eye on, John Summerall, the coach out of Tulane. I wouldn't doubt that. I mean, that would be a program he would leave Tulane for, I think, because that's a very good Penn State job, a very good P4 program, and you're in a hotbed of talent. You've got enough resources which you can build upon, and then not only that, like you've seen what he's been able to do with lesser talent and less resources. So what Penn State needs is somebody who's is used to not having those resources, which is another name that I heard that I did not like hearing, Jake. And one that's starting to gain some steam is Lance Leipold. And I really don't want to see him go to Penn State. I really don't want to see. And the reason I don't think he goes, obviously, it would hurt my heart because we love our Jayhawks here on the Walk On Redshirt podcast. But they just got a $350 million donation to the football program. I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think it's me, Lance Leipold. We'll ask Coach next week when we go out there. Coach,
yeah, he would love to see that.
One speculation is that they'll go with the hot assistant coach, the hot offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. You've seen it work for guys. There's been a lot of success. I think last year, Landon Tangwell, coincidentally, again, three shout outs in the first 12 minutes. There you go, Landon. He posted a graphic for coaches that were a head coach versus were an assistant.
First-time head coaches, yeah.
First-time head coaches that made the playoff this past year. And I believe it was 8 out of 12 were first-time head coaches.
9 out of 12.
9 out of 12. So, and when you talk about it was Ryan Day and Marcus Freeman in the national championship game, two guys that were coordinators before they came head coaches, like coordinators to big-time head coaching jobs. Who is out there that they might do it? Brian Hartline's been brought up a lot. I don't know if he has enough, but he might be the right guy that you just go with the learning curve, go with the bumps that you're going to have the first couple of years. Same thing with Marcus Freeman. You knew you were going to have some bumps getting started. Will Stein out at Oregon has been a name that's been brought up a bunch, as well as a hot offensive coordinator who can get it done.
You're not going to leave.
I think they're going to want to go with a guy who has experience, though. I don't think they're going to go straight with an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator.
Well, I also think it's important to take a local guy because, again, we talked about it, the limited resources. And I use limited very lightly. It's limited opposed to Ohio State. It's limited opposed to Michigan, all these other big-time programs. They've got resources. They're not hurting for money, okay?
Oh, yeah. No, there's plenty of donors that'll go to Penn State.
Right. And if you want to compete with the Ohio States, you need a guy who knows, kind of has a lay of the land of that Pennsylvania, Ohio State valley and understanding, hey, where are the recruits? Where are the big time high schools? Where do I need to be? I mean, obviously Cincinnati is one of the biggest spots, but Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, New Jersey, how do you get those guys to stay local and to continue coming to Penn State? And I think the best people to do that would be somebody that's from the area. You think about Fran Brown and why he's having so much success in Syracuse. It's because he's from that area. Now, he's from, a couple hundred miles south, but being from Camden, New Jersey.
Not even a couple hundred miles. He's like
Syracuse is upstate New York, and Camden, New Jersey is,
But he coached at Rutgers, so
true.
Very familiar.
I think it helps. I think it's very helpful.
I think it's going to be Matt Rule because of the affiliation. And I think Matt Rule is going to excite the people that have a lot of money, because the people that have a lot of money are still Joe Paterno people, are still people that grew up on Joe Paterno.
Can they wait 3 years?
I don't know if Matt Rule can even get it done in 3 years, from being honest.
I think he could.
I think Matt Rule would be a 9-3, 10-2 coach forever. I don't think you would get much better than the James Franklin with Matt Rule. I think you would just have a local guy that does it.
Let's play a game.
Yeah.
Would you, if you're a coach, would you rather coach at Florida or Penn State?
That's a really good question. Florida's a way tougher job to win at, but it's way easier to get talent at. Penn State, obviously, you're recruiting the DMV. You're in the middle of absolutely nowhere. But with how many programs, like next year, they don't play Ohio State. So you don't have to worry about playing Ohio State next year. I think your schedule is consistently easier, and it's easier to make the playoff at Penn State. So I think Penn State is the easier job to win at. If that's what you're going for, I go Penn State.
Penn State or Nebraska?
Penn State, easy.
Penn State, Auburn.
Penn State, easy. Auburn's not. I think Auburn is not as good of a job people think.
I think it has an exponential amount of pressure without the resources compared to Alabama. Last one. Penn State, Oklahoma State.
Oh, jeez. Well, Oklahoma State has the guys who wave the towel, so I don't know how you compete with that. They wave their shirts.
Pretty cool.
Stand shirtless.
What if Mike Gundy? Oh, okay. Oh, last question. Sorry, Penn State, Virginia Tech.
Oh yeah, no, Penn State easy.
I don't know if it's easy though. I don't know if it's easy.
Penn State's a way better job. Penn State's a way better job than Virginia Tech.
Is it though? Like you talk about easy schedules. Yeah, you're in the ACC. You have
more resources and you have way more brand. I think Penn State is a top 12 job. I don't want to say it's top 10. I listed out. I think it's a top 12 job.
Maybe.
I think it's the top 12 job. It's borderline top 10. It's depending on how you view some of these like second tier teams. There's like very clear like a top 5. Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Texas, like
USC.
I don't know if USC is there. I think LSU is the top 5 job.
In terms of resources, USC has to be there. I think
Oregon's probably another one in the top 5 right there, top 5 or 6. And Michigan's probably right there as well.
Yeah.
In that. And then you get into the second tier of Tennessee, Texas A&M. I mean, Oklahoma might be in that first tier, but they're probably right in that second tier. Florida State, Miami, Clemson's in that second tier, right? With that, like you start diving into that second tier. And
yeah.
Where does Penn State fit in those?
Too. And I think Penn State would be in the equivalent of a Clemson, LSU. I think that's where they are because they don't have the resources.
Notre Dame's also in the top tier as well. Notre Dame's tier A.
Yeah, and those teams have been historically good for, which it shocks me too about Nebraska. Nebraska's been historically good, but I wouldn't consider that a top tier job. I don't think they have the resources they think they do. I think that job's equivalent to Penn State.
I think Nebraska's tier 3. I think they're one tier down.
Tier 3. I mean, you got a hell of a fan base.
Recruiting alone, though. You're recruiting into Nebraska. It's so hard. You don't have a backyard. You don't have a backyard to get guys to. Anyways, let's keep moving on. Trent Bray is out at Oregon State. Not going to spend a ton of time here. Second season goes 5-14, 0-7 this year. Just not a good situation. Trent Bray was an Oregon State guy, but like you're 0-7. You're losing games constantly. I don't really know where Oregon State goes from here, but it's not a good situation.
He got shafted. He got hired as Oregon State was on their downfall, leaving the P4, not on purpose. Trent Bray comes in following Jonathan Smith. He kind of empties the cupboard, taking some of his guys, Aiden Childs being one of them. Damian Martinez goes to Miami. You really lost Chris Brazel, goes to Tennessee. You really lose everybody. And then you're expected to win after no longer being a P4 program. The Pac-12's gone. Like, dude, literally, he even lost his conference, Jake, and then takes over the program. I hate it for him, but 5-14. I'm shocked they didn't let it ride out for at least one more year.
I think they should have let it go a little bit long. I think they should let it go a little bit longer. You're in a tough transition period right now.
Right.
But I think also they're probably like, we're going to have a conference next year. We need to be ready to go next year. Like they probably view like we got to be conference contenders next year.
It's the Mountain West with the Pac-12 mask on.
Yeah. Yeah. Wisconsin, Florida, North Carolina, Auburn. I think those are all jobs that we could see open here pretty shortly. It would not shock me if Luke Fickell does not have a job this weekend. He plays Ohio State. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised he still has a job.
Luke Fickell's next.
Florida is already being rumored about it. North Carolina, they had to release a statement that we're still interested in Bill Belichick last week. Very weird.
And he also had to put a statement out that he's also still interested in coaching.
Dude, it was like 9:45 on a Wednesday night, and they like dropped this statement of like, we are both still committed to each other. Okay, like there were rumors, but like the fact that you had to drop it like in the middle of the night saying we both are still interested in coaching. Yeah, that's usually the sign that it's not going well. Jordan Auburn, another one. Hugh Freeze is Auburn fans are ready to be done with Hugh Freeze. So we'll see how much
What?
longer he can last there. All right, let's talk about last weekend's game. We're not going to talk about every game. We're going to talk about the big ones because we have a massive slate for this upcoming week, and we've got to talk about all those games. We got 5 games we're talking about this week. Usually we're 3, but we put 5 on here.
So first game, Clemson, Boston College.
Yeah, that's the one. Bill O'Brien, who might also get fired. Indiana takes down Oregon on the road in Eugene. What was your impression from this game?
My first impression was Indiana is built to last. This team is not a pretender. They're on everybody's radar, and the rest of their schedule is pretty easy. They don't get Ohio State. They've got Penn State, who is Penn State at this point? They just announced who the starting quarterback was at Penn State, and they've got that quarterback has to face Ohio State, Iowa, and Indiana in his first 3 ever starts.
3 of probably the toughest defenses in the Big Ten, and you get to face all 3 of them, and 2 of them on the road.
There's a lot of Penn State slander going on in this episode, so I do apologize. I'm kind of kicking you out while you're down. You don't deserve that. Penn State is an awesome school, awesome program. I love their football.
They'll be back up in no time. I'm pretty confident in
that. But Indiana is legitimate. Fernando Mendoza, I'm sorry I said anything bad about him. The dude's just a baller. He made one bad mistake, which kept Oregon in the game. But I don't even want to talk about the Indiana offense. Don't care about the Indiana offense. That Indiana defense had Dante Moore terrified. Even though Oregon graded out well on PFF in terms of pass blocking in that game, Dante Moore was seeing ghosts, and they could not run the football. Indiana's defense is legit. Love freaking jit.
Yeah. Indiana's defense, I believe they had 6 sacks on Saturday. They held Oregon to 81 yards rushing. Jordan Davison was the long rusher with 8 carries for 59 yards. Noah Whittington had 5 carries, 27 yards, long as 7. De'Aaron Hill, who was the star against Penn State, only had 3 carries for -3 yards. His long was getting back to the line of scrimmage. His long was 0 yards. Dante Moore had 9 carries.
If you're listening and you've never played running back in college, you rushed as much as him.
Actually, you had more than him because he had -3 total yards on Saturday.
True. Your longest rush was the same as his, and you had more rushing yards. So kudos to you. Welcome, Red Shirts. You earned it.
But the Indiana defense was stout. They made plays. They forced 2 interceptions. Like, Oregon looked like a very different team than what we had seen recently.
Man, they looked stunned, and they were at home. They looked like they got stunned. It looked like when a team is coming, it looked like Oregon was trying to punch up. Like sometimes you see a lesser talented team play another team, and you can kind of see that they're playing with a different edge, and they kind of as if they're not as talented. Man, Oregon was playing that way. They were playing timid. It's really weird.
Oregon was losing a physical battle as well. I mean, the very first drive, Oregon goes for it on 4th and 1 at their own 46-yard line. Like, they knew that they were going to have to score points and they were going to have to find ways to move the ball. Going for it on 4th and 1 at your own 46, I'm not discrediting the play call. It's the fact that you ran it and couldn't get a yard on the Indiana defense. To me, that set the tone very early. Now, Indiana only kicks a field goal after that, but that set the tone that you're not going to be given a yard. Like, you cannot just rely on your offensive line to get pushed and get a yard. Indiana's defense was physical. They came after the quarterback. They forced big plays. If it wasn't for Fernando Mendoza throwing a pick 6, I think this second half would have gotten a little out of hand. It was tied at 17 or at 20 going into the fourth quarter or early fourth quarter. My bad. The interception was with 12 and a half minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's tied
Indiana
at 13. Indiana scores, goes up 7, and then gets. I think they go 3 and out. They stop Oregon. Get the
Oregon
ball back.
Throws 2 interceptions after that. So Indiana goes down, scores a touchdown, and go up 27-20. Dante Moore throws an interception. Indiana kicks a field goal, and then Dante Moore throws an interception to lose the game, or to end the game, which was that he had no interest in being out there. If you watch that very last drive where there was, I think they had a minute and a half or something like that. He had no interest in being out there at that point. Maybe it was the end of the game. Still, it was bad situation all around at the very end. And you could tell that they were defeated. And Oregon, I think Dante Moore just expected to win. And then Indiana came and punched him in the mouth and he didn't know what to do.
No, they were shocked. They were shocked. They didn't look prepared to get punched in the mouth like that. They looked like as if, you're right. Indiana was just more physical, period.
Now, Oregon outlooks, Indiana has a very good shot of going 12-0. They've got a very good shot to make the Big Ten championship game. Oregon, suddenly, their next couple of games, they should breeze through. Rutgers, they should beat. Wisconsin, they'll beat. Then you get into at Iowa. Could be a tricky game at Iowa. Minnesota, they should beat. Then you get USC and Washington to end the year. There's 3 games that I think could cause some issues. I don't think Iowa can score enough points really to beat Oregon. I think Oregon's offense will do enough. But Iowa played a very nasty, they played Indiana better than Oregon did.
Right.
They played Indiana just as well. So at Iowa could be a very tricky game. USC played Michigan out of their mind and had a phenomenal day against Michigan. And then Washington is still sneaky, sitting there at 5-1. Washington could be a player here this year. So I'm not saying that Oregon's a lock for the playoff yet, but I mean, they've got a good shot, but there's a couple sneaky games there that they've got to take care of business still.
Yeah.
Next game here, let's talk about Alabama takes care of business against Mizzou. Kind of a weird game that first drive looked like Mizzou was going to go shot for shot with them. I mean, Bo Prabula threw an absolute dime down the sideline. Mizzou scores first to go up early. And then just inconsistency from Bo Prabula the rest of the way. He finishes 16-28, 162, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Just inconsistency is the best way to put it. He fumbles, doesn't quite lose it, but he fumbles the ball at one point. What do you make of both of these teams?
I think Missouri's defense is as advertised. I don't think they're getting enough credit for how they played that Alabama team. Everybody's given Ty Simpson his flowers for quote unquote dicing them up, but he only threw for 200 yards and 23 for 31. I mean, 65% completion percentage. That's good. That's really good. But 200 yards passing. I mean, he was having trouble moving the ball, and they couldn't run the ball very well either. They only ran for 125. Jam Miller, 20 for 85. So, 4.5 yards per carry. That's pretty good. But I thought Missouri's defense is as advertised. And I think the offense, again, as it's happened over and over again in the Eli Drinkowitz era, either the offense is really good and the defense is terrible, or the defense is really good and the offense is terrible. This is the latter. The offense just is inconsistent. Bo Prabula is very good with his legs, but there was times where he wanted to beat Alabama with his legs instead of relying on his arm. And you can't out-athlete Alabama. You can't. And you didn't have to do that. And honestly, even as a good runner, he's not a great athlete. He's not Jaden Daniels. He's not Johnny Manziel. He's not all these other running quarterbacks that gave Nick Saban-led Alabama teams struggle, right? He's a good runner, but he's not a great runner like those guys were. So Bo Prabula, maybe he's more similar to Johnny Manziel. Jaden Daniels and Johnny Manziel should not be in the same breath, but you get what I mean. So, and then turn around and only throw him for 161 yards. That's just, you could tell that they were out-athleted on that side of the ball, and it wasn't good. So I think Missouri can work their way back up into being a contender and potentially make the SEC championship solely because of their defense. And I think Alabama is a very flawed football team that could still get exposed. I don't think they're going to be a team that's just going to waltz the national championship like a lot of people have them doing. I think Josh Pate just put out his college football playoff prediction. He's got them winning the national championship. Jake, I'm still not sold on Alabama. I'm still not sold.
I have a question for you about Alabama.
Okay.
When does Caden Proctor finally score a touchdown?
Who do they play next? They play Tennessee. Maybe it'll be against Tennessee in Neyland.
I think they've run 2 different Caden Proctor plays, putting him in the Wildcat.
That was beautiful.
As a linebacker, what are you thinking when you see a 366-pound quarterback? who is running the ball. Like the fact that he even split guys out wide is hilarious because Caden Proctor was not throwing that.
If I'm a linebacker,
I want him to get in the end zone.
Right. I'm shooting the gap as hard as I can, and I'm going straight for his shins, and I'm hoping somebody comes with me.
Because
you jumped over somebody.
Go low. I know he's an athletic 366-pound guy. I'm just waiting for Caden Proctor to get into the end zone. It's going to be great. He's got his celebration planned. That celebration is planned.
Jake, it's not going to be a run, though. It's going to be a pass. He's caught one, didn't quite get in. He ran one, didn't quite get in. He's going to throw it in there.
No. I saw a highlight of TCU game. I don't know if it was this year or recently or one other year. It was a hook and ladder to the offensive tackle at the 3-yard line. They threw a screen pass to the wide receiver. The left tackle ran out, took the lateral, and ran around the end to score a touchdown. That's how Caden Proctor is going to score a touchdown.
He is and honestly, what the funniest part about it is because of how he's played as a pass catcher and as a runner, people are giving him more hype about how good of an offensive lineman he is. He is a good offensive lineman. Don't get me wrong, and he'll probably be a first rounder. But he's generating a lot of hype just because he's touching the football now. And I'm like, man, this dude. Obviously, he's always had a lot of spectators on him with him being a big time recruit. I think he was the number 1 overall offensive tackle in Iowa. I'm pretty sure he's the one who's flipped back and forth. 4,000 times. Yeah. So he's generating a lot of good positive buzz because of that. But I think he throws it in. I think he's going to throw it in this weekend, Jake.
One of my takeaways from this game is that Alabama's rush defense played well, especially only allowing Ahmad Hardy to get 52 yards. Guy who had been leading the nation in rushing. I believe he had something like 700 yards coming into this game already. 12 carries, 52 yards, doesn't find the end zone.
So he only ran it 12 times, which I thought was pretty shocking.
Yeah, Pabula ran it a bunch. They ran a couple other, designed run plays, but Hardy had over 700 yards, 9 touchdowns, and just struggled. It could not find the end zone, couldn't find the holes. I thought Alabama did a pretty good job containing the run. It was very obvious that if they were going to, after that first drive, after the game got into it, forcing Bo Pabula to try to beat them with his arm, he was going to be struggling to do that.
And that's when
Mizzou stayed in this game for a while. I mean, you're talking about in the fourth quarter that it's 20-17. Mizzou's got the ball. They had a chance to go down. I mean, even the last drive, they were down 3 points, and Bo Pabula could not lead them down the field with over a minute left. They had plenty of time to go down and score, and they just did. Mizzou, though, do you think they're a fraud? Do you think they're going to lose more games? Their remaining schedule, they play Auburn this weekend, which could be tricky because Hugh Freeze is on his last lifeline. At Vandy, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. I think they're going to have 3 losses by the end of the year. Easy.
Probably. I mean, it won't be Auburn. It could be Vandy. It's going to be
I think it could be Auburn. That spread is not that big. That spread is 1.5 points.
But, Jake, that Auburn offense is bowling shoe ugly. And this Missouri defense, I'm telling you, is legit. I don't see Auburn being able to generate points. And I trust Bo Pabula enough to bounce back, even though it's on the road. They do go back on the road to Vanderbilt, but who's scared to play in Nashville? Nick Saban said that last year. What happened?
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair point.
So I probably shouldn't have said that. A&M is a definite loss, in my opinion. Mississippi State could sneak up on them. If John Mateer is healthy, Oklahoma's still legit. Arkansas, you can't sleep on that offense. So that game is intriguing, and it's a rivalry game. So, yeah, I could see 3 losses for sure.
I think they will lose. I think they'll be 9-3. 8-4 would be a rough year for them.
Drinkowitz is also another one that was rumored to be interested in the Penn State job.
Yeah, how much would that cool down if he finishes 8-4? He loses, what would it be, 4 of his final, 8 games or whatever it'd be, 4 of his final set of the games. It'd cool down pretty hard on that. Speaking of John Mateer, Texas upsets Oklahoma. John Mateer has an absolute terrible game. all week leading up to it, it was John Mateer. Looks like he's going to play. Went from unlikely to all of a sudden he's listed as probable to he's taken off of the injury report
from
either Friday or Saturday. And John Mateer goes 20 of 38, 202, and 3 interceptions. Bad game. Very bad game. That Texas defense held up. They played well. They had 5 sacks, 7 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions. Like, it was a bad day all around for the Oklahoma offense. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't move the ball. Running the ball, they ran the ball 30 times for 48 yards. Torrey Blaylock had 11 carries for 33 yards. Xavier Robinson, 3 carries, 7 yards. Jaden Knott had 1 carry for 2 yards. The longest run of the day for Oklahoma was 11 yards.
Yeah.
They could not move the ball.
And, it's not like Texas's offense was doing anything. I mean, I think they wore out Oklahoma's defense. And Wisner, 22 rushes for 94 yards. He had that one big carry for 37, almost 40 yards rush, almost 40 yards on that rush. And you take that away, he was held in check. This was a defensive freaking bloodbath, which is what I kind of thought it would be. I thought with Mateer playing, he would be ready. You could tell he was off time. He looked like he hadn't played football in 2 weeks. He looked like he was playing with one hand. He looked like he was playing without confidence. Some of those tackles that they were making on him, like when he was running the football, he wasn't running and gaining ground like he normally would. Normally, I would equate him to more of like a Baker Mayfield runner where he's not afraid of the contact. He didn't want to get hit. There's a few times he didn't want to get hit in this game. But hats off to the Texas defense. That defense is elite, and that's the only reason that's going to keep them in some games this year. I don't think Texas is back. I think it's ridiculous that the AP went ahead and put them back in the rankings. They don't deserve it. Their offense is so bad. So bad. Arch Manning, 21 for 27 for 166 yards and a touchdown. He was awful.
I don't think Arch was terrible. I think that they've started to establish what Arch is. Right now, Arch is a game manager. And that's okay because he's still young. He's only in his 8th start. And maybe Arch isn't the savior of the Texas program. Maybe Arch is just a good quarterback. Maybe he is just an overall good quarterback. He ran the ball when he needed to. He didn't turn the ball over. He only had 6 incompletions. I don't think it was a terrible day. I think he just did enough against an Oklahoma defense we all thought was going to shred him to pieces.
Yeah. If John Mateer is healthy in this game, we're singing a different tune. And we have a note in here that says, "Did we buy too high in Oklahoma?" I don't think we did. I think we lost some stock because we lost a key stakeholder. And if that dude comes back, I think they need to sit him for a little bit longer. I think you can afford to sit him this weekend. No offense, South Carolina fans, but that offense is just, that defense is not the best either. But Oklahoma is not dead. I'm still high on Oklahoma. You give them some time, they're going to win some of the game. Who do they have left? Who do they have?
They've got a murderer's row at South Carolina versus Ole Miss, at Tennessee, at Alabama versus Missouri versus LSU. They play 5 top 16 teams, and then at South Carolina.
Yeah, but
they're going to lose 2 more games. I don't think Oklahoma's making the playoffs. I think that is too difficult. I think they're losing at least 2 more games. I think Mateer, this game's going to linger.
I think in 9-3 Oklahoma could make it.
It's going to depend on everybody else and what games they lose. I think they'll beat South Carolina this weekend. The game being at South Carolina is interesting. It's only a 5.5 point spread. You start talking about at Tennessee, at Alabama. LSU's a tough one. Ole Miss, I have a hard time thinking they're going to beat Ole Miss right now.
It all depends on the health of John Mateer, in my opinion. 100%. Then I'm also hearing rumblings. You want to talk about the how terrible the rushing attack is in Oklahoma, and I'm also hearing that Jaden Knott might be, saying see.
Yeah, that he might be out as well with
what a fall off.
Mekhi Hughes. and Jaden Ott, both guys that we thought were going to be big impact running backs, transferred and just haven't done anything. So would not surprise me if Jaden Ott is out. He's had something like a dozen carries so far this year, only had one rush on Saturday. All right, let's jump into this weekend slate. We've got tons of games. We are going to start with LSU and Vandy. LSU and Vandy this weekend is a top 20 matchup here. What intrigues you in this game?
I think LSU's 112th ranked rush offense and Diego Pavia's ability to score no matter who they play intrigues me a lot. You saw LSU play South Carolina and play poorly. They won by 10, but it was an ugly 10-win game, 10-point win game. So I think this Vanderbilt team has all the tools to beat this LSU team and beat them by double digits.
Garrett Nussmeier had a little bit more zip on the ball this past weekend. He's also saying he tweaked his ankle. Brian Kelly mentioned that he tweaked his ankle. How can you win without relying on Garrett Nussmeier? Which sounds ridiculous to say because you can't run the ball. But how can you win without Garrett Nussmeier? You saw them give Ole Miss a fight for a while. Obviously, this past weekend was not a great showing from LSU, only scoring 20 points.
Or Ole Miss.
Yeah. Ole Miss, like they kept in it for a while, but then Ole Miss eventually ran away, ends up winning the game.
They only won by 3, and they were playing, or was it 7? And they were 38.5-point favorites against Wazoo.
Oh, I thought I was talking about LSU this past week. LSU when they played Ole Miss. LSU when they played Ole Miss. They stuck around in it. I think it's going to come down to Diego Pavia, like you mentioned. Like Diego Pavia, they lost that Alabama game because of crucial turnovers.
Yep.
This LSU defense is going to have to find a way to get the ball out of Diego Pavia's hands.
And they can and they will. That LSU defense is ferocious.
They have to basically watch the gameplay from Alabama and say, how can we mimic this? LSU's got to find a way to score points. But the big thing is you can't let Diego Pavia run wild. They can't go shot for shot with them.
Jake, I disagree. I don't think you can turn on the Alabama tape and get much hope. Because if Vanderbilt doesn't turn the ball over 3 times in the red zone, albeit, they beat Alabama.
That's what I'm trying to say. You have to find a way to get the turnovers. What is Diego Pavia doing in the pass game that is exploiting him to potentially throw interceptions?
Right. So Vanderbilt's going to be able to move the ball. You got to force those turnovers, and I think they can.
That's going to be the big thing.
I'm not going to share that yet. We got our pick'ems later, but
we got picks later.
I think, I'm very intrigued on if LSU's wide receiver Aaron Anderson is healthy. He was out against against South Carolina, and the passing game struggled a little bit until late. I think when South Carolina just couldn't hang in there anymore. You're on the road, everything's against you. Just fell back off. So this Vanderbilt team is not to be reckoned with. And I think this LSU team might be a little overinflated right now. And I think that bubble's about to pop.
Yeah, I think LSU is not the 10th best team in the country.
No.
I think they've kind of skated by. I mean, you talk about 23-7 over Louisiana Tech, 20-10 over Florida, 20-10 over South Carolina. I do not
17-10 over Clemson.
I do not think they are the top 10 team. I think Vandy gets them. I think A&M gets them. I think Alabama gets them. Like, if you told me that LSU's 8-4 10 of the year, I'd believe it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. I think we're both leaning a specific way on this game. We'll talk about this when we get to our picks later. Speaking of Ole Miss will travel to Georgia this weekend. A very interesting matchup because Ole Miss is currently 6-0. They have a legitimate case as a top 5 team. You talk about them as an SEC contender. They are clearly included in that conversation. They beat LSU, but only by 5. They've had some wonky games. Last week they barely beat Wazoo. They only win by 3. They beat Kentucky by 7 earlier this year. But same thing, like Georgia hasn't been ultra impressive at times this year either. Georgia beat Tennessee, but they lost to Alabama. Plays a weird game against Auburn last weekend. What are you intrigued about this game?
So the thing I want to talk about the most is if Ole Miss wants to contend with Georgia, they got to have a similar model to Tennessee. And I think Ole Miss and Tennessee are very similar. Trinidad Chambliss and Joey Aguilar share some similarities. They're both runners that can throw very, very well. The defenses are decent. I thought Tennessee's defense could be a lot better, but I think this Ole Miss offense has the ability to put a lot of pressure on a Georgia team that's pretty flawed. These aren't the Georgia defenses of old, but they're also not someone you can just roll over on, right? So if Ole Miss can kind of follow that Tennessee recipe of just being which I'm giving Tennessee a lot of credit. If you run a balanced offense, you're going to do well against anybody. But if Ole Miss is able to run the football with Lacey and then take the top off with Chambliss, I think they're going to be great. But man, like I'm just curious. This is one of those games that I feel like that Georgia and Kirby Smart just come in there and just lay the hammer on an Ole Miss team.
Yeah, Georgia's been confusing because against Tennessee, I mean, Gunnar Stockton actually looked pretty good. I mean, he threw some pretty good passes. It wasn't like Tennessee's defense was so bad that he was able to exploit them. Like, there's the pass in the fourth quarter that he had a back shoulder throw into the end zone from 25 or 35 yards out, whatever it was.
On fourth down and 6.
Like, that's a good throw no matter who you're playing against. Doesn't matter if it's Georgia State or Tennessee. Like, that's a good throw. Then you look at this past weekend, they play Auburn. Gunnar Stockton was 24 of 37, 217 yards, didn't throw a touchdown. Georgia couldn't run the ball. When Gunnar Stockton is your leading rusher with 26 yards, that's not a good day. It's a really bad day, especially for a program that's known for their running backs. Josh McCray, Nate Frazier couldn't get it going. Georgia has to start quick.
Yeah.
They had 3 points at halftime against Auburn. They needed a second half comeback to beat Auburn, which was bad. And honestly, they needed Jackson Arnold to fumble at the end zone, or else this might have been a completely different game. If Jackson Arnold doesn't fumble at the 1 yard line when he's trying to go for a touchdown, Auburn might win that game.
Yeah.
But Georgia rolls out the victory. It doesn't matter how, but they pulled out the victory. You have to start fast. If you go down 10 points, Ole Miss, their offense can keep it going and not let you back into this game. Like, their offense is one of the best in the SEC. This is not Auburn, who has Jackson Arnold, who can't throw the ball. Like, they have playmakers at running back, at quarterback, at wide receiver. Like, they have playmakers they can get the ball to. So you have to start fast. You cannot get into another shot-for-shot game like you did against Tennessee, because Tennessee's defense isn't as good as people thought it was.
Yeah, well,
you have to get stopped on third down.
In that Georgia game, Tennessee was out their number 1 and number 2 defensive back.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, so it gives Gunnar Stockton a little more confidence. Ole Miss, though, you talked about Trinidad Chambliss, Keelan Lacey. Chambliss, I think eventually we're going to get a rough game from Chambliss. He's a D2 quarterback that's moved up to the FBS. I think you're going to get a rough game. We haven't really seen him, implode at any point. Is the Georgia game the game where he finally implodes? Now, luckily, it's at Ole Miss. I think that helps a lot. But I think we are going to see a Chambliss blow-up game here at some point, just because it's going to get to him. The stage is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger as Ole Miss wins every game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going back and looking at the box score in the Wazoo game. They won 24-21. When I was watching, I felt like he struggled a little bit in that game. I mean, he threw for 253 yards, 60% of his passes. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of nitpicking. I think if Wazoo's able to kind of contain him, I think this Georgia defense could. And we talk about turnovers a lot. Turnovers are very important in this game. If you win the turnover margin, it's like a 90% chance you win the football game. If Georgia causes Ole Miss to slip, they've got to turn that into points, because Ole Miss is not going to – they're not going to stop Ole Miss from scoring. Nobody has been able to yet. Wazoo held them in check. You can argue that
I think that might be a little bit of a look-ahead game, though.
I was about to say, they might have been looking ahead. I mean, they were 38.5-point favorites. I mean, it happens. We're all human.
First game off a bye, you just beat LSU the week prior. Now you got Georgia, on the schedule at Georgia. I got that wrong. It's at Georgia, not at Ole Miss. Definitely a look-ahead spot when you've got also it's a 12:45 kick and not a 12 o'clock kick. There was just some weird factors that went into that game. I think there was a prime look-ahead spot there.
Yeah. That game intrigues me. I think it could go Ole Miss blowout or Georgia Tech Georgia defensive shutout. Like just pitches a really good game, and Trinidad Chambliss looks human.
Yeah. So we don't talk about 3 SEC games in a row. Let's jump into a different one. We'll come back to our other SEC game. This is not an SEC podcast, so we're not going to talk just SEC football. USC Notre Dame rivalry game here. Big one. Game is at Notre Dame this weekend. USC comes off a big victory against Michigan last week. USC has 1 loss. Notre Dame has 2. To me, this is a battle for a potential playoff spot. The loser, to me, is probably out. Because when you talk about the schedules and what's remaining, if Notre Dame loses another one, I think 3-loss Notre Dame's out. They don't have a conference championship game. It's going to be hard when you have no signature wins on your schedule.
But the 3 losses would potentially be all to playoff teams.
I get that, but 3 losses, a 9-3 team, when you talk about that, their signature win would then be Navy or Boise State,
Arkansas.
Like, yeah, an Arkansas team that fired their coach, Syracuse without a quarterback, Pitt, like none of those are screaming that you're going to make the playoff. Meanwhile, USC, loses to Illinois earlier this year, gets really close to beating Illinois, loses on a game-winning kick. They beat Michigan. They've got a couple other chances, but a 10-2 USC team with a win over Notre Dame probably got a decent shot. If they lose this game, they still have Nebraska, Iowa, and Oregon, not to mention a rejuvenated UCLA team at the end of the year. I think they're going to lose one more game no matter what, but if they lose to Notre Dame, it just feels inevitable they're not making the playoff this year.
Yeah, and I think, I tend to lean towards Notre Dame in this game because USC tends to struggle with physical teams. Yes, they just beat
they just out-physicaled Michigan, though.
They did. So that's where I'm like, is there a mantra change? Has something changed in Pasadena?
They ran for 224 yards on Michigan. King Miller had 158 yards and a touchdown on Michigan.
So I think that mantra might be shifting. I think we might be able to shift that away. Is Michigan the same Michigan team we've been seeing the last couple of years? No. I go back to the USC-Illinois game, and I look at that, and Illinois, I would say, is a Walmart version of physicality when it comes to Michigan of old. If you talk about the general
Brett Bielema preaches physicality, and he that's that blue collar lifestyle, blue collar method, blue collar way that they want to win games.
That's how they tend to win, and they punched USC in the mouth. I think USC came back, made it a game, but they struggled. Last year, they go and they got their teeth punched in a few times by physical teams. You go back when they're in the Pac-12. Every time they played Utah.
Yeah, Utah took it to them.
Right. So that might have shifted last weekend. And Mekhi Lemon and Joy Maava are legitimate. Jade Maava, excuse me, are a legitimate 1-2 punch in terms of quarterback to receiver. Mekhi Lemon is really freaking good.
Oh, yeah,
and should be on everyone's Fred Biletnikoff Award watch list. So that Notre Dame secondary is about to get tested. And this Notre Dame defense has really struggled this year. So this matchup intrigues me so much because I feel like we have 2 mantras that are either being set or going away because Notre Dame wins with defense, right? They win in the trenches. They win with defense. Their trenches and their defense have kind of been spotty this year. You talk about the offensive line has struggled. The defense has struggled. USC normally loses to physical teams. Well, they just went belt to ass on Michigan last week, and that could be changing too. You're going into Notre Dame, a team that's usually physical. If they go and they play the same way they did against Michigan, that's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I think they have to get to CJ Carr. CJ Carr has looked really good as of late. CJ Carr has been one of the better quarterbacks in the country the last handful of games. USA has 20 sacks on the year. CJ Carr got sacked 5 times in his first 2 games and only sacked 4 times since. Obviously the first 2 games were 2 of the best offensive lines that you're going to face between Miami and Texas A&M. How can you get to CJ Carr, get him off balance there. Notre Dame, they can't wait to get Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price involved. You've got to get those guys involved early. USC, like, how can you get Jeremiah Love the ball as many times as possible? He's averaging 19 touches per game. In this game, I think he needs to have 22, 23, 24.
Jadarian Price has looked very, very good this year.
They have a really nice tandem of running backs there.
And they use it properly. I mean, I think at the beginning they were kind of trying to get their feet under them on how they're going to do this dual backfield. I think they have it perfectly average. And when Jadarian Price comes in, you don't miss a beat. I feel like he has more burst than Jeremiah Love does. So
Jeremiah Love's obviously very strong, but Jeremiah Love has a better potential out of the backfield. Jadarian Price only has one catch on the year, not as much of a receiving threat. But using both of those guys, I mean, if Jeremiah Love's a receiving threat, you can have them both on the field at the same time, and you can attract attention away, because the receivers haven't been as good as I would say I expected. Like Jaden Greathouse has 4 catches on the year. Jaden Greathouse last year was a superstar in the playoff.
Yeah.
The playoff, he was a superstar against Penn State and Ohio State, was the guy that was keeping them in ball games and helped them beat Penn State. So how can they get those two guys involved? I think if Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love have big games, it's because Notre Dame is winning the game.
Yeah, that was going to be fun.
Tennessee, Bama, third weekend in October. Back to the SEC slate here. To me, Tennessee, there's a couple of things here. The passing defense. Gunnar Stockton threw for 300 yards on you. I know you were missing guys, but Gunnar Stockton threw for 300 yards on you. What is Ty Simpson going to do? Because Ty Simpson's a better quarterback.
A much better quarterback, specifically passer. Gunnar Stockton is known to be a runner and a okay passer.
Gunnar Stockton got Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, Ryan Williams. Like, you've got wide receivers. You know that the rushing attack is going to be iffy. Jam Miller hasn't been able to quite get it going. The running back can't quite.
And he got hurt late in the Missouri game.
Yeah.
Is he going to be available for this game?
Yeah.
We know yet.
I have not looked. When you look at Alabama, though, I said it last week that Alabama had to win the turnover battle. Alabama won the turnover battle 2-1 last week. Alabama is +9 on turnovers. Tennessee is +2 on turnovers. If Alabama continues to win this turnover battle, I have a hard time thinking that Tennessee is going to win this game.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, I mean, when you have a quarterback like Ty Simpson, if you continuously give him the football, he's going to make something happen, especially when you have the receiving core you just listed.
Especially if you end up getting a short field. If you get the ball, if you get a turnover on the plus side of the field, I have confidence that Ty Simpson is going to find a way to get his guys in the red zone and score a touchdown. And then Caden Proctor is going to finally score his touchdown.
Well, and I think the difference in this game is Joey Aguilar. So you look last week in Missouri are going toe-to-toe. Bo Prabula, as a first-time starter in terms of a season, kind of the lights got a little too big for him, would you say? Kind of peed down his leg a little bit. Joey Aguilar's played. He's played a lot. He's played at App State. Now he's played at the D3 level, I believe it was. He's now at Tennessee.
No, I don't think Aguilar was at D3.
Was he not? Was it just App State? I'm pretty sure he played at some junior college out in California.
UCLA.
That was good.
That's a very disrespectful to UCLA. City College of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then Diablo Valley, which I don't even know what that is either.
Yeah, see, that's what I thought. He played at some no-name places. So, he's played a lot, and he's played with all different types of people, been able to adapt to them. He comes to Tennessee. He brings that savviness to him of a guy who's played a lot of football. I think the difference in this game is Joey Aguilar. And if he can bring that adaptability, that versatility, and then not turn the ball over, which he has been known to do in his career, and he did a lot last week against Arkansas, and he did a lot. Who was it they lost to? Tennessee, Alabama. No, Georgia. He turned the ball over late against Georgia, I believe. Can't remember that one. About to come back to that. But if Joey Aguilar can play a solid, safe game, I tend to lean towards Tennessee in this game because of their ability to run the football, because of the plethora of wide receivers they have. I mean, Chris Brazzell, Brandon Staley, and Mike Matthews, they're not household names yet. Chris Brazzell might be in most people's houses, but they're not somebody you can just sleep on. You're not sleeping on Joey Aguilar in that Tennessee offense. And if this Tennessee defense could get healthy a little bit, it's crazy. They're going to be a playoff team. I'm worried about that defense. I'm very worried about that Tennessee defense.
So Dr. Joey Aguilar, because he is actually almost able to rent a car without the young renter's fee.
I love
because
that.
he's 24 years old. Dr. Joey Aguilar. When I look at this, the turnovers were an issue last year. I'm preaching about the turnovers here. Alabama's coming for that football. They're coming for that football. And if they get that football, they're going to win this game. I think this game could get ugly in favor of Alabama.
Yeah, and you know why it could? Tennessee's defense is the 100th ranked overall defense in the country and 121st in passing.
They let Arkansas stay in it. They let Mississippi State stay in it. Alabama's passing offense is going to run wild in this game.
But
spoiler alert.
But you talk about the versatility of that Tennessee offense, Deshaun Bishop and Star Thomas. And quite frankly, Peyton Lewis. They're all really good running backs. And then you mix in the little sprinkle in with the running back with a quarterback who's able to run. I think this Tennessee team could keep it close just because of their offense. I think this is going to be a shootout. This is going to be a high-scoring game, I think.
I can definitely see that. Now, the second best college football rivalry name in all of college football, because number one's the Backyard Brawl. Backyard Brawl is the best rivalry nickname in all of college.
If you're watching on YouTube, by the way, I just want to say Jake's fingers have been very aggressive this episode.
Yeah, I've been moving my hands a lot, talking to my hands a lot today.
Yeah.
Second best nickname for a college football rivalry, the Holy War. We have the Holy War this weekend, and the Holy War is an awesome college football name. Utah and BYU are facing off this weekend in a game that matters a lot. BYU is undefeated. Utah has one loss to Texas Tech. This is a good football game.
Can I say something, Jake? Are we in the trust tree? We talk about rivalry names. The game kind of sucks.
Oh, it does. I won't even disagree on that. Not even going to disagree.
It's cool because it's like simple.
It's like the original.
But it's like the game.
Okay. So when you compare it, the game is like an Oreo. There's nothing wrong with it. An Oreo is delicious. Everybody loves an Oreo. But you know what? Some of those, it's not quite double stuffed. They come out with all these different flavors that are cool. And, I want to try this one. I want to try that one. I want to try this one. But you know what? You always come back to the original Oreo.
I like that. That's a good analogy.
You always come back to the original Oreo. You're going to try those other ones. The Post Malone ones, the Selena Gomez ones, the Thin Mint one, whatever flavor they're putting out in Oreos. You're going to try them because,
there's a Oreos. Post Malone and Selena Gomez.
Oh, yeah. It was a Post Malone one last year. It was actually pretty good. It was like a shortbread. I don't know what the Selena Gomez one was, but I tried the Post Malone one. What do we have upstairs? My wife brought me home ones the other day that were okay. Oh, they're
mocha. Are you a big Oreo household?
Sometimes we're Oreo people. She brought me home mocha ones, so there's like a coffee flavor in them. It's not bad. But like I said, in the end, I'm going to go back to the original Oreo because that's the best one.
Yeah, but the Holy War is pretty freaking cool.
Holy War is really cool. Utah, BYU, what do you got?
I don't know. Watching this BYU team play against Arizona and have to come back and win, take it to overtime. I think it was double overtime, and Bear Bachmeier just lays it on teams with his feet. The dude can freaking run. But this Utah team can run freaking just as good, if not better. Devin Dampier and that team, that offense can move the freaking football. Jake, I don't know what to think on this game. I have no idea what to think. Okay, I want to hear it.
I think whichever quarterback finishes with more rushing yards is going to win this game.
I have a hotter take. I might make this my spicy take. I think the quarterback with the least amount of yards wins this game.
Devin Dampier had over 100 yards last weekend. Bear Bachmeier can run wild as well. Like, you're going to see the quarterbacks make a lot of plays in this game. That doesn't mean that there aren't going to be other guys, but LJ Martin, really good at running back, averages 6.5 yards per carry, going against the 67th best rush defense in the country. Can be important to watch. Bear Bachmeier, I think if he gets loose, it's going to be tough for Utah to contain him. Same thing the opposite way. Devin Dampier can get loose as well. He breaks contained. He's going to run for a bunch of yards as well. To me, like, Utah was in that game against Texas Tech, but they turned the ball over 4 times. They were playing hot potato with the football at one point. And if Utah takes care of the football, I think they might win that game. They kind of imploded at the very, very end. That score is not indicative to what that game was.
Texas Tech blew up in like the last 10 minutes of the fourth quarter.
Yeah. This was a very close football game for the first 50 minutes, and then Texas Tech ran wild at the end.
Yeah.
But Utah was in this for every bit. But turning the ball over 4 times, that's a killer. That's an absolute killer. You can't expect to win a game if you turn the ball over 4 times.
No, and I don't expect that to happen again or very often. But if it's going to happen to anybody, it'll be against BYU and that ferocious defense. Because yes, they're struggling to put pressure on the quarterback. You have a note here that they're 96 in generating sacks. Not good, not what you're used to with BYU. I don't think you're going to be sacking Devin Dampier a lot, but you can at least hold them.
Mm-hmm.
Short yardage gains, make them have to start throwing the football. If they can make Devin Dampier have to beat them with his arm, it's going to be a good game. Because just because they're 96 in sacks doesn't mean they're not big in tackles for loss. I'd love to see what they rank in tackles for loss. I'll actually look that up real quick while you talk.
Yeah. I think for this game, like you said, how can you contain? If you can't get sacks, how can you contain Devin Dampier so he isn't getting 8, 9, 10 yards? They are 66. They have 34 tackles for loss so far this year.
Okay, so they're not generating pressure in the backfield. The defensive line is kind of weak. And that's why I kind of lean towards Utah in this game. Spencer Fano, and I'm forgetting the other they have 2 legitimate NFL tackles on that Utah
Spencer Fano is considered the best tackle in the country. So
yeah,
trying to get pressure off of him is not going to be easy.
No, and he's a big old fella. So they're going to be moving that ball pretty well.
All right, it's time for our Gridiron Spiciest Take of the weekend. Just like bold college football hot takes, Gridiron Spice Company brings bold flavor to every meal. From the signature varsity blend to the fiery hot route, Cajun-inspired go long. These seasonings are built for game day. I have used them on my wings personally. I would recommend it. They've got a nice little kick to it. Highly recommend it on any of the poultry. But if your wife is like my wife, who doesn't like spice, don't give it to her, but you can enjoy it. Head over to gridironspiceco.com. Use code WALKON for 10% off your order. Gridiron Spice, where flavor meets football. Okay, so I whiffed last week. Auburn knock off Georgia. That obviously did not happen. You got close. You said 3 top 12 teams would lose. Indiana, Missouri both get wins. Or Indiana and Alabama both get wins. But Oregon and Oklahoma were the only ones to get knocked off in the top 12.
Yeah, and Bama almost lost. Georgia almost lost. Tennessee almost lost. Who else?
There were a lot of very, very close calls. Tennessee, Ole Miss, Georgia, LSU, and Alabama all survived scares in the top 12.
Yeah, bullcrap. It's bullcrap. That was really
all right. This week, I alluded to it earlier. I have Alabama winning by 3 scores over Tennessee.
It's really funny you have that. Go ahead. Well, you kind of talked about it already.
I think that it's the passing attack. I think that they're going to win this turnover battle. I think they're going to give themselves short fields. I think that Tennessee has been flirting with danger the last couple of weeks, and I think it's Alabama is going to take it to them this week.
Even though it's in Neyland? You don't think?
No, it's in
sway at all. It's in Tuscaloosa.
I'm pretty sure this game is in Tuscaloosa.
Oh boy!
Let me pull it back up. I am pretty sure this game is in Tuscaloosa this weekend, and it is in Tuscaloosa. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Always go the opposite of what I say. except for my spicy take.
And didn't Tennessee win last year over Alabama?
Yes, they did.
So
Nico,
now you've got a revenge factor. Yeah, it was a very ugly game. It was Nico versus Jalen Milroe, and it was a terribly ugly game. Neither quarterback could throw the ball. This was a terribly ugly game. Way better quarterback situation this year. I think Alabama takes it to them. Rivalry, rematch. Give me the Tide by 3 scores.
I got Vanderbilt beating LSU by 3 scores. And the 3 is what makes it spicy. I'm closer to the 2-score range, like a 10, 13-point win. But I'm going 3 scores, Jake, because you know what? The fortune favors the bold. I'm going to be bold. And I think Diego Pavia and that crew are able to just lay it on LSU and kind of make them call uncle. I think there's a lot of stuff boiling up in Baton Rouge, and I think Vanderbilt's going to bring it out of them.
Bold, like some bold flavor?
Like some bold flavor, just like our Gridiron Spice sponsorship.
GridironSpiceCo.com. Use code WALK-ON for 10% off your order. You can get all sorts of spices for your barbecue and still plenty of time to get it in for the rest of the season. All right, Walk On Weekly 10 presented by Battle Bets. College football Saturdays got a whole lot better. Forget Vegas and forget risking real money. We are running our own league on Battle Bets. Here's how it works. You join the league, you get fake money, and you bet on all of the biggest games every single weekend. Best part, it's just for bragging rights. Our league will have some prizes coming up here in the next couple of weeks. Get in the league. Make sure that you're making your picks every single week. I went 6-4 last week. You went 5-5. I picked up another game on you. Just saying. I'm up to 39 wins. I am over 50%. You are at 35 wins. You're at 47% on the year.
The comeback's coming.
There'll be a comeback like no other. This week, we have our picks in. Let's start talking about them. We will start with UNLV against Boise State. Boise State is a 10.5-point favorite this weekend.
Why would you start with the hardest game for me?
Well, because this is like the biggest spread and the one that I would say the least amount of people care about that are listening to it. Maybe they care about it. But UNLV's got playoff aspirations, and Boise State is a 10.5-point favorite at home on the turf.
I want to go UNLV so badly. I really do. 10.5 is a lot of points.
It's a lot of points.
And I'm trying to get the stink of UNLV playing Idaho State in week 1 or week 0 out of my brain. And I'm having a really difficult time doing that. But then UNLV has played everyone this year tough. Are they undefeated? They might be undefeated.
UNLV is 6-0.
Yeah, and Boise State's lost twice. They've lost to Notre Dame and they've lost to USF.
UNLV has played every game close. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are.
I'm going UNLV.
Wyoming. You're going to go UNLV?
I'm going UNLV.
Okay.
I'm following my heart. I've been following my brain too much this year, and it's been right 48% of the time. We got to get back to my heart.
I'm going to take UNLV for the sole reason I think 10.5 is too much. I know the Smurf turf. Boise plays really well on that Smurf turf. I'm going to take UNLV because they've played everybody tight. I think they played Boise State tight as well, but I think they're going to lose. I do think Boise State wins this game, but I think that UNLV covers the spread here.
I think Anthony Colandrea is a really good quarterback, and that's why. The quarterback for UNLV.
Friday night, Louisville plays at Miami. It's 13.5-point spread. Miami or the Cardinals.
I've given up on betting against Miami. I've given up on it. They're going to win every single game they play. Give me Miami.
If this game was in Louisville, I'd probably feel different. I think Louisville makes this game interesting for like the first, I'll call it 20, 25 minutes.
It's going to be just like every other. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think it's going to be interesting for 20, 25 minutes, and then Miami's just going to run away with the second half. I think Ruben Bain, I think Malachi Tony, I think similar to the Florida State game, it felt like it was close for a little bit, and then Miami runs away, and then there's like a weird comeback at the end, but I don't think there's a weird comeback in this one.
Jake, it's almost every game they play. Florida, Notre Dame, Florida State. Great in the first quarter. Iffy in the second and third quarter. Great in the fourth quarter. Bad in the fourth quarter. They let people come back in.
I think Miami will cover the 13.5, but I think this game will be a little bit closer for a while. Another group of 5 game here. Old Dominion will play James Madison. Old Dominion at one point was viewed as a possible group of 5. Playoff contender. The loss last week to Marshall takes them out. But James Madison is a 1.5 favorite here. James Madison still has an outside chance at the college football playoff. They need some help there for sure. But who do you like?
How do you not pick James Madison and Bob Chesney?
I'm a big Bob Chesney guy. Big Bob Chesney guy. Give me the Dukes as well. I like James Madison at home. Washington travels to Michigan. Michigan is a 6.5-point favorite here at home, coming off that loss to USC. Who do you like?
I think Washington is better than USC. I think Washington's offense is way better than USC. Damon Williams is a much better quarterback than Jaden Mayava. Give me Washington. I think Washington covers. I think they win. I think they beat them worse than USC beat them.
I would not go as far to say Damon Williams is better than Jaden Mayava. I think Damon Williams is a really good quarterback. I think Michigan's in a really weird spot right now. I mean, there's some talks about Sharon Moore heating up. I think if they lose this one, that those talks get a little bit louder. I'm going to take Washington to cover this spread as well.
There was those crazy fingers again. You need a play made. You need one play made. Would you trust Jaden Mayava or would you trust Damon Williams more? You need one play at the end of the game.
Who's wide receiver quarter I get?
Doesn't matter.
I'm going to take Mayava right now. I think Damon Williams, I think if you talk about like, when you talk about if you in like 2 years, a year, like even another year, I think it might be Damon Williams. I think right now I'd still take Jaden Mayava.
His playmaking ability is just unreal.
I agree. It's going to be incredible. I would still take Jaden Mayava. Duke is a 1.5-point favorite hosting Georgia Tech this weekend. Kind of weird spread. Georgia Tech's undefeated. Duke has 2 losses. Who do you like?
So, Duke's favored. It's at Duke. I go back to the Illinois game where Duke played Illinois and got just the doors blown off of them. I think Georgia Tech plays a similar style to Illinois. They don't pass the ball as well as Illinois does, obviously. But their receiving core is comparable. So give me Georgia Tech in this one. They've been tested. They found a way to win in every single game. They've played everybody close. They even played freaking Temple close for the longest time. So give me Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you talked about Georgia Tech playing this close. Virginia Tech, they win by 15. Wake Forest, they win by 1. I think they flirted it a little too close, and I think Duke's going to take this one. Duke's played pretty well since their 2 losses. Beat Cal by 24, beats Syracuse by 35. Syracuse defense, I thought was going to be halfway decent, and then they dropped 38 on them. I think Manny Diaz gets a win this weekend, and Duke moves to 4-0 in the ACC conference then, which is an intriguing spot for them because this game, Duke versus Virginia, might be a really important game here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's going to feed families too.
Nobody expected it. Holy War.
Oh, don't say nobody. Don't say nobody expected it.
Yeah, no, okay. There was one that had Virginia. One person that had Virginia pretty high up there. Holy War. Utah is a 3.5-point favorite on the road at BYU this weekend.
We've already talked about this. I trust Utah in their trenches more than I trust BYU.
I'm taking Utah as well. I think rookie or freshman quarterback and Bear McMyer, it's a big spot in the rivalry game here. Devin Dampier obviously comes over from New Mexico. I think Kyle Whittingham gets it done. This might be Kyle Whittingham's last Holy War. There's been a lot of rumors the last couple of years about him retiring. If he wins the Holy War, if he plays well enough, does he hang it up? I think there's a chance. I'm going to take Utah to win this game. USC is an 8.5-point underdog on the road at Notre Dame this weekend.
I've been flipping back and forth on this one too. Give me Notre Dame. USC struggled against Illinois. They're not quite the team that.
Yeah, I just switched my pick. I'll be honest.
You little rascal. I'm going Notre Dame. I love the rushing attack from Notre Dame, and I think C.J. Carr has developed into a very, very good quarterback, probably one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and I think we get to see that against USC this weekend.
USC's defense impressed me last week, taking the physicality to Michigan. I don't think this is the same Michigan program that we've seen the last couple of years. I think USC will match up physically with them. The Notre Dame passing defense has been iffy at times this year. You saw it against Texas A&M. You saw it against Miami. I think Mekhi Lemage, Kobe Lane, Jaden Mayava get a chance to exploit the defense. I don't know if USC will win this game, but I'm going to take those 8.5 points. I think they can cover that spread.
Oh, buddy.
Tennessee plays at Alabama. Alabama is a 7.5 point favorite. I've already made my bold statement that Alabama's winning by 3 touchdowns. You tell me who you're picking.
Those 3 touchdowns. You said 3 scores.
3 scores. 3 scores. We're allowed 17 points.
No, I'm about to say 17 points. This one I think is going to bite me in the butt, but give me Tennessee. They always play Alabama well. Recently, I don't want to say always. They play Alabama well. I like Joey Aguilar. I like the running backs. I like this defense to take a big step forward this weekend against probably the best offense they've played all year. So I'm not feeling very confident, but I'm going Tennessee.
Okay. LSU is a 2.5 point favorite. My bad. LSU is a 2.5 point underdog at Vandy this weekend. You've already talked about Vandy by 3 scores. So is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think Vanderbilt's going to have a coming out party. They're going to have their Indiana moment this weekend.
I'm taking Vandy to cover as well. I think Vandy wins this game at home. The LSU offense, I'm just a little bit concerned. Garrett Nussmeier hasn't looked great. It's hard to rely on a quarterback that we expected to be really good and just hasn't lived up to the expectations so far. Final game here, Ole Miss will travel to Georgia. Georgia's 7.5 point favorite at home against Ole Miss. You like the Dogs? You like the Rebels?
Logo watching here. I like the Dogs. I like the Dogs' offense to get right. I like that running game to get right. Trinidad Chambliss is legit. 7.5 points is a lot, but I think Ole Miss struggling against Wazoo really pained me to watch that. And then the ability for LSU to move the football against them at some points in the game, I have to go Georgia here. My gut, my heart is telling me Georgia's going to win this game.
I'm going to take Ole Miss to cover the spread. I don't know if they'll win the game. I am inclined to think that Ole Miss is going to win the game. Feels like Lane Kiffin might get over the hump this year. He's got a team that can do it. Felt like last year should have been the year, but this year somehow is becoming the year. I'm chalking last week up to a look-ahead game. So I'm going to take Ole Miss to cover that spread. Would not shock me if the Rebels come out 7-0 this weekend. And if they do, I have no idea where you rank them in the top 4 because Miami, Ohio State, Indiana, Ole Miss, I don't even know how you rank those 4 at that point.
Jake, I can tie you this weekend.
You're not going to.
I'm going to.
No, you're not. You're not going to tie me this weekend.
After this weekend.
You're not going to tie me this weekend. With that being said, appreciate everybody listening to us. Make sure you go and rate the podcast on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you do it. Leave us feedback. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. Make sure to go check out Squad Blitz. We have weekly contests. Just gave out a Bandfall Weddings t-shirt here recently. We're probably going to do another one here again soon. Make sure to go check out the walkonredshirts.com. Tons of college football content every single week. SEC Group of 5 content, Heisman Watch, Coach Philly, who's going to replace James Franklin. Everything you could be looking for college football-wise, we've got stuff on the walkonredshirts.com. Go follow William at WalkOnMoose. Make sure you follow us on Walk On Red Shirts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever you get college football content. We are probably there posting. That being said, everybody enjoy week 8. It's going to be a fantastic week of college football, and we will see everybody again next weekend. And then only a week and a half till we go to Kansas.
Only a week and a half till we go to Kansas. Lance Leipold, we coming.
We coming.